Star Wars Explained has existed for over 10 years now, which is insane. The very first video I released was about Willrow Hood, because I've always wanted this channel to be a celebration of all of Star Wars, no matter how small. Recently, I've started doing videos about why certain characters like Biggs Darklighter or Jackson are important to Star Wars as a franchise and a fandom, and today, close-ish to the 10-year anniversary of that original video, I thought it would be fun to revisit Willrow Hood and talk about how that one random background character has impacted Star Wars for the better. If you don't know who Willrow Hood is, that is totally understandable. He doesn't have any lines, and he's on screen for all of 40 frames, so he has 1 2/3 seconds of screen time. He is seen fleeing Cloud City in The Empire Strikes Back, and for some reason he is clinging to what appears to be an ice cream maker. Star Wars fans noticed that odd detail, and that background extra gained some notoriety, which spawned a name, multiple stories, additional appearances, action figures, and more. Willrow Hood's tiny bit of screen time continues to impact Star Wars storytelling and fandom to this day. Before he had a name, Willrow Hood was known by Star Wars fans as the Ice Cream Maker Guy. He gained enough notoriety that he was finally given a name in the customizable card game 15 years after the release of The Empire Strikes Back. There, he was described as a Tabana gas miner who was a longtime resident of Cloud City who was sympathetic to the rebels and sold them Tabana gas at a discount. His story was expanded thanks to a contest on the Star Wars Fan Club website, where club members could write the backstories for minor characters, and winning entries were then added to the official Star Wars databank. Willrow Hood's tale was written by Benjamin Christopher Norton Daw, where we learned that the ice cream maker was actually a computer memory core full of rebel contacts Hood worked with in the past. When the Empire invaded Cloud City, he rushed the core to a disposal unit. He was imprisoned and tortured by the Empire, but he kept the identities of his contacts a secret. After the death of the Emperor, Willrow worked with a defecting Imperial Security Bureau agent to liberate Cloud City. His 2009 action figure would directly reference that fan-written story. 3 years later, Disney would purchase Star Wars, and in 2014, most of the Star Wars Expanded Universe was turned into Star Wars Legends, including everything we knew about Willrow Hood. The first big change to his story happened in 2019 with The Mandalorian. Jon Favreau teased the return of the ice cream maker prop before the release of the series, and in the third episode, we learned that the item was no longer a computer core, but instead a lockable container, which, to be honest, seems like the least convenient way to carry anything. You have to pack it from the sides? Why not just have the lid twist off? Regardless, the ice cream maker was now a fancy bucket. Less than a year later, Willrow Hood's story would be rewritten directly thanks to the book From a Certain Point of View, The Empire Strikes Back. That anthology was a collection of short stories about the background characters of the film, and I like to imagine authors fought over who would get the honor of writing Willrow's story. Rob Hart was given the chance, titling his piece Due on Batuu. In it, Hood is a disgruntled miner who hopes to become a smuggler. He takes a job delivering a mysterious Camptano to Batuu. Although its contents were unknown, the Camptano becomes a highly contested item when the Empire arrives on Cloud City. Several people try to take it from Willrow, and whatever is inside winds up breaking. Hood still elects to leave Cloud City, telling his pilot friend to take him anywhere but Batuu. Willrow is far less noble in this story, but a different story in the exact same book references Willrow's inspiring bravery, which seems to reference his legend story. He can also be found in Cloud City in LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, and claims to have data sensitive to the rebellion on his device, which looks an awful lot like his ice cream maker. The LEGO games aren't strictly canon, but the From a Certain Point of View stories are also in a bit of a canon gray area, so who's to say which version of his story is the right one? Pick the version you like best. Because to me, the best part about Willrow Hood is not his in-universe story, it's the fact that he has a story at all. Star Wars fans have begun calling beloved background characters glup shittos, and I don't think there is a gluppier shitto than Willrow Hood. 40 frames of screen time, and here I am writing a full-on essay about the man. While Willrow Hood is far from my favorite glup, he is proof that literally anyone in the galaxy can have a story. Sometimes that's part of the creator's intent. The cantina scene in A New Hope sparked fans' imaginations because every design was so strange and interesting. I think that scene was meant to get people to sit up and take notice and wonder who all these people were. In the case of Willrow Hood, I don't think that was the intent at all. But still, Star Wars fans will latch onto the craziest things, and I mean that as a compliment. I love that there are people who want to dive deep into the background of every scene and learn more about the universe. Over the years, those fans have elevated Willrow Hood into a cult icon, most notoriously thanks to the running of the hoods. I've seen this happen at several Star Wars celebrations and Dragon Cons, but basically a group of cosplayers will dress up as Willrow, grab their ice cream makers, and run/parade through a convention. They've even appeared up on the Star Wars show stage for the celebration live streams. I love it every time I see it, but I also love how specific it is even among Star Wars fans. Every time I've seen one run by, someone will inevitably ask, what the hell was that about? And it's fun to explain why a large group of people want to dress up like an incredibly minor background character and make a scene in a convention. That's when fandom is at its best to me, a group of people celebrating something obscure and silly that joins us all together. In recent years, a new group has formed. Narkina 5 prisoners will march or run through conventions, which I also think is great, but my hope is that one year they can run into a bunch of Willrows and we can have like a West Side Story style dance-off between rival groups. That was originally where I was going to stop this video, talking about how the fandom's love for Willrow Hood has grown and endured all these years, but as I did some new research on the character, I learned that there has been a major development in Willrow Hood's story that I was completely unaware of for over a year. For the longest time, nobody knew who actually played the character, but in August of 2023, French YouTuber Nicolas Delage put out an awesome video about Willrow Hood and how he tracked down the actor who we now know was Egbert Sin, an Indian actor who appeared in several films and television shows around that time. Unfortunately, Mr. Sin has passed away, but Nicholas was able to reach out to his daughters, Paula and Dolly, and had a great chat with them. Egbert and his family were completely unaware that Willrow had gained a cult following, but his daughters were sure he would have been delighted about it all. I'll link to the full English version of the video in the description and the cards. It was wonderful to watch, and the whole video is very well produced, so check it out. I find the whole situation to be bittersweet. I'm glad Paula and Dolly now know their father had such a strange but lasting impact on the Star Wars fandom, but it's a shame Egbert never found out. Obviously, I don't know the man, but I like to imagine he would have been able to make some amazing memories at Star Wars Celebration, overseeing the running of the hoods. He probably would have done pretty well for himself signing Camptonos and ice cream makers. I wish he had known how much joy he brought to this wacky fandom. Because that's the thing about Star Wars fans. When we are at our best, I think we're finding the joy in even the smallest characters and moments. We take that joy and we put it out into the real world by doing silly runs through conventions, and I would like to think that if Egbert had made it to a Star Wars Celebration, he would have been treated like a star by everyone who knew who he was. But that's why I think Willrow Hood is great and important to Star Wars. Let me know what you think of the character in the comments, and let me know if there are other glup shittos you'd like to see me cover in the future. Check out the playlist in the cards if you want to see more videos like this. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on our socials, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.